Now let's create the actual collection view object itself and its custom cell. Open up your main.storyboard, and we're going to drag from our toolbox a collection view once our list loads. Then of course we're going to pin it to the sides of our current view so it stays constrained whatever size of screen we have. Let's hit collection, and you'll notice we have a collection view controller. Again, most tutorials out there use this view controller, which is a bit of a pain to reverse decipher, so I'm going to take you right to the raw root of collection view and actually just drag a basic one in. And the default collection view comes in this lovely black color. Let's leave it as that. And what I'm going to do, of course, is drag these out so they sit fairly close to the edges. And then I'm going to add some of those pin constraints. So hit it again, drag our pins up. And I'm not going to put values in this time because you should be used to doing this by now. So I'm just going to have this set at whatever value I have here. Right, the whole thing has gone blue. It's good to go. Now let's give this collection view a name, because we have to reference this later inside of our view controller. Call it collection view. You'll notice we have items 1. That's fine. We'll leave that as it is. Now let's click this one item, and we have a red exclamation mark icon. And this is there because it says you must have a reuse identifier. Well, of course, we know that now. So if we click that little cell and click inside its identifier, let's call this custom collection cell. And make sure you hit enter once you've typed that in. Right, we've created our collection and its cell. Now we need a class that sits behind that controls this cell. So let's right click our project. Let's add a new file. Let's check inside iOS if we have a collection view cell, and we do. But I'm just going to choose general empty class so I can walk you through what everything does. It's always better that way rather than relying on the auto generator sometimes. Just when you're learning, as you get more proficient, by all means use the auto generator. Let's call this custom collection view cell. And of course we're going to need some usings up here. Let's have a using of the UI kit. I might need using of foundation, and finally using of core graphics. Okay, now our class needs to inherit from the UI collection view cell. And this cell is going to have some graphical elements in it. So of course we want a nice public UI label, and we'll put 2 labels in. Let's have a main label and a sub label. Then, just like list views, we need the reuse identifier, and that is going to be the same as we had in our storyboard. This is going to be a public static NS string, and we're going to call this cell ID equal to a new NS string, and then give it our custom cell or collection cell. So this is a static reference that tells that we're able to use everywhere throughout our application, because we do actually reference this cell ID quite often, and it's a good idea to have it in a single storage place. Right. Above of this public constructor, we need to initialize our cell, and in particular our frame. So this is done by init with frame, and then the cell is drawn and ready to go. We just need a colon there. Don't leave that one out. Okay, the cell initializer comes with a frame argument. So that's a cgrect and frame. And this inherits from the base version of it, which also has a frame. Okay, so now the cell is drawn and ready to go. We can start doing some things with the cell. We can have a background view if we wish, and we can create a new UI view for that background, and we can give this a background color equal to UI color dot orange. And I'm going to explain what that is when we actually start running this. Then we can have some niceties. We can set things like border colors, border widths, and background colors for the content view of our cell. So let's do one or two of those. Let's have content view dot layer dot border color, and let's make this equal to UI color dot blue. Why not? We can also set the width of the border, so that comes under content view dot layer dot border width, and this takes a float, so we can have, let's say, 4.0 f. Also, let's set the background color of our content view, and we will have UI color dot white. Right, so we've set a few niceties. If you want to know more about custom view cells, then simply jump onto Apple's documentation, and it's pretty easy to translate to C# and Xamarin. We need to instantiate our labels. So main label equals new UI label, and leave it at that. And we want to do the same with sublabel equals new UI label, and leave it at that. And now what we need is a method called updateCell that allows us to position the labels, add text to the labels, and do anything else that we want whenever we fill our collection view with data. So let's have our public void updateCell, and this we're going to pass over a string, and if you recall, we're going to pass over one of those alphabet strings. So let's call this text, and we will make the main label dot text equal to text, and the sublabel dot text equal to text. Okay, now there's one final thing to do, and that's to give our labels a frame, because they don't know exactly where they sit in this hierarchy. So let's have main label dot frame is equal to a new cgrect, and let's put this at 5,5. Let's have it the full width, content view dot bounds dot width, and give it a height of 26, say. And then, of course, we need the same for sublabel dot frame, and that's equal to a new rectangle. And let's drop this a bit lower, so 5,35. Let's have it at the full width dot bounds dot width, and let's have a height of 26 as well. Right, so we've got a really simple cell here with two labels, but you can imagine you could actually populate this with images, with dynamic content, with moving content, whatever you needed really. That concludes how to make the collection view and its collection view cell. In the next lecture, we're going to look at creating the custom collection source that brings everything together and orchestrates the whole affair.